Welcome everyone to Coronavirus Explained. My name is TK Joel. I'm a registered pharmacist and you're on the TK Farm website. If you like a video at the end, please follow us on YouTube. You can subscribe and you can click the like button. This encourages us to make more videos like this for you. So for today, we'll look at the diagram of the coronavirus. This diagram was taken from the CDC website. We'll also go ahead and explain what coronavirus 2019 nCoV is, what will simplify the immune response of an infection, some hidden phases during an infection, and two of those that we'll talk about today will be the incubation phase and also the prodromal phase. These two phases are very tricky because this is when the viral infection is easily spread without us knowing. We also look at other human respiratory viral infection, mode of transmission, mode of prevention, clinical symptoms of an infection, diagnosis, treatment, and future expectation of this viral infection. So this is the diagram with the electron micrograph of coronavirus. As you can see, it's 30 kilobyte, which is small because you're looking at the electron microgram, but bigger relative to other viral infection. So what is the coronavirus 2019 nCoV? This is intracellular envelope non-segmented positively sensed RNA virus belong to a family of viruses called the coronaviridae. They possess one of the largest genome among all RNA viruses, which is about 30 kb. So intracellular just means they live mostly in the cell of their host. And then you can also see the fact that they are round and makes it have a unique structure. They have a high frequency of recombination, which will help them during multiplication and defense, and this also increases higher mutation rates compared to RNA viruses. Unlike DNA, are single-stranded and they can easily be mutated. Another unique feature of RNA virus is that they cannot be grown on a plate, so in the laboratory easily, like most bacteria. And even if you try to grow them in vitro, so in test tubes, there are high chances that there will be mutations, and this is challenging because these new mutations can have different epitopes. Epitopes are regions on pathogens that your antibody can recognize and bind to this specific region and eliminate the pathogen. So once this epitope are changed, it makes it difficult for your drug to work because it doesn't recognize the new epitope that has been formed. In terms of history, the coronavirus, the 2019 novel coronavirus, was discovered in December 29, 2019 in Wuhan, as a province in China, and it also has different names called novel beta coronavirus 2019. Some people call it the Wuhan phenomenon or the Wuhan coronavirus, since it is new and also originated there. It also emerges in Hubei, a province in China, Henan. Now there are reports of the cases in Japan, South Korea, and here in the United States, mostly because of people that have traveled to this area. They are zoonotic viral infection, which means they come from animals, mostly bats, and also spread to other animals. We understand that bats, they live together and there's a high risk among the bats. So I want to use this diagram to show a simplified explanation of how any infection in most cases is being transferred. So once you have an infection, which is known as a point of infection, this infection will take its course and then your body after a while will start to have symptoms that goes up, and also the symptoms will gradually increase as the viral number increases, and this has a curve shape because then the viral growth would decrease. So what you see in blue will be your symptoms increasing also. So as the viral number goes up, after some number of days, in this case will be 2 to 14 days, you also have an increase in the symptoms from this infection, and the symptoms will decrease and to a point and stop once the viral infection is being taken care of. The third line you see on this graph will be your body responding to the infection, and this is mostly when your immune system kicks in and tries to fight the pathogen. You see, as the number of the immune response increases, so too does the viral growth decreases, and then your symptom stops. At one point, the immune response plateaus out, indicating that there is no growth in your response, and which means that the infection has been taken care of. What is good about the immune system is that it goes ahead and produces memory cells, memory white blood cells, and these memory white blood cells will help in case of any future infection to rapidly take out the pathogen. Now, between when you first get infected to when you see or start feeling symptoms of infection, this is called the incubation phase. And now, there are times within the incubation phase where you start feeling sick, but you don't necessarily have symptoms of sickness. This is known as the prodromal phase. Now, these two phases are very unique with this, with most infection, and with this coronavirus, is that the prodromal phase takes about 5 days, and during this time, you might feel like you're sick, but you can't really show major symptoms of sickness, while the incubation phase takes between 2 to 14 days. So I call these two phases the hidden phase because this is when risk of transmitting this disease is highest, because you or anyone that is infected does not show any symptoms of infection, but they are infectious. Uh, Looking at a graph for a study that found some article, it showed that most people are affected, those ages 25 to 49 years old, followed by people that were 50 to 64, then people greater than 65 years, and the least affected were people that are from 18 to 24 years old. Oral respiratory viral infection in the past have been the 2012 Middle East Respiratory Syndrome virus that was called MERS-CoV. In 2003, we had the severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus, also said to originate from bats, then spread to other animals like the wild cats. There are other coronaviral infection that affect human. The H there stands for human coronavirus, and you can see different mutations: 229E, 80C43, NL63, You can also see the HKU1, and all these numbers just means where there were mutations on the strand of the virus. There are similar viral infection like the rhinovirus that causes common cold, influenza virus also that causes the flu, but they are not uh, the same like the coronavirus. They tend to produce similar symptoms, but they definitely have different treatment recommendations. So in diagnosis, they use the next generation sequencing and a real-time PCR method to amplify sequence of this viral genome, which then confirm it was a new coronavirus. Next generation sequencing and real-time PCR are all techniques that can be used to increase the number of viral RNA strand, make it more easy to use this increased number of strand to better study and characterize the virus, and that was how we learned that this coronavirus was a new coronaviral infection. As I'm making this video, most laboratory testing will be done for patients that admitted to the ICU unit, which is the intensive care unit, and mostly symptoms management should be done at this point. We're going to monitor markers of infection, and remember this is an infectious disease, so a lot of empiric treatment and vital signs management will be done. Samples can be taken from the nose, the mouth, the lungs. A chest X-ray will be done to see if possible pneumonia, and also blood samples can be done to monitor things like white blood cells number and try to see if the infection is getting better or worse. So mode of transmission, the number one and most common means of transmission is respiration, and this is also the fastest way this virus gets transmitted. Simple droplets like from the nose, the oral mucosa, and the eyes can be infectious. And the risk of infection also increases if you are like in a close environment, and this would be where personal contact or risk of personal contact increases. For example, people traveling through the metro, tram, buses, you have to squeeze each other, or people in prison and many others places where it's crowded. And just know that this virus is an intracellular parasite, which means it grows in the host, but it can stay on outside surface for up to 5 days. 5 days is a lot of time for us to be a bit negligent. So any surfaces that can be touched should be clean. For example, the door in the houses or offices or cars, tables, books, pen, computers, anything that you can share. Try as much as possible to reduce that habit. Method of prevention. So we advise our number one method is to avoid infected persons as much as possible. But it's also very tricky because how do you know someone is infected if they are in the incubation or in the prodromal phase? Fortunately for now, This period takes 2 to 14 days, averagely 7 to 8 days, so we cannot know if we're infected or not. I would strongly recommend us to do a proper hygiene, which is actually washing the hand with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. So we should go back to basic hygiene that we learned back in primary school. I also avoid crowded areas, just such like buses, closed rooms, as much as you can. You can also put disposable surgical masks. You can wear gloves to protect your hands. If you have someone in the house that is infected, try not to share the same bathroom. Wipe all surfaces as much as you can with at least 60% alcohol. If you're infected, you want to cover your nose. If you're sneezing, for example, this will just help you or anyone from being infected. Clinical symptoms of infection. Number one symptom is fever, and fever is also a defense mechanism for most everyone that gets an infection. Then we have cough because this affects the respiratory system. There is muscles pain, ache, pneumonia, which is fluids in the lungs, and this will cause acute respiratory distress syndrome, also abbreviated as ARSD. You have inflammation of the lungs as a result of that, and then causes dyspnea, which is shortness of breath. You also have tachypnea that follows, which is shallow breathing, and we have to all think about our respiratory problems then tend to have a cascade of other issues, most commonly heart complication. Symptoms reported include hemoptysis, coughing out blood, diarrhea, uh, advised to stay hydrated and try to drink a lot of water, headache. A long-term effect of this viral infection might affect the heart, leading to future heart problems. One other thing is that not everyone get affected with this coronavirus, and some people don't even develop symptoms, and and this is because we vary as a species. We have different genetic makeup. So on the left are most common symptoms, and on the right are the less common symptoms. But again, these symptoms will vary in terms of population. I didn't put exact numbers there because some of these symptoms also can be found in similar viral infection. Treatment. This is a new viral infection, and there are still a lot of studies that are being done to characterize and better treat the disease, so there is no treatment available. What we can do is mostly supportive care, so managing symptoms of coughing, pneumonia, diarrhea, and also fever. So while fever is used as a means for the body to cure infection, we should try not to reduce the temperature too fast. So avoid taking drugs like NSAID, for example, ibuprofen, naproxen, or Tylenol. Some countries it's called paracetamol. Again, keep your body hydrated. This will be if you have diarrhea, to avoid possible heart complications from that. Try not to travel to areas that are infected. Seek medical attention immediately if you feel like you're sick or you just travel from China. And if you are in an area where there is no access to any medical facilities, try to isolate yourself for 14 days, and hopefully if the disease goes away, then you're not affected, and from there you can protect yourself better. Future expectation, we hope that as we continue to learn more about the origin of this virus, we'll be able to better understand and find a better treatment. There are a lot of foreign and international organizations that are working hard to develop vaccines against this, especially the World Health Organization. But again, vaccines takes a while, so what we can do for now is just try as much as possible to prevent the spread of this disease. So a lot of the materials for this article was taken from the CDC, up to date, and two articles that I found. One from China that was very very educative, and also one in the Journal of Nature Medicine. We hope you like the video, so please go again ahead, click the like button, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, and we hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye and have a good day.